Well, happy Bulletproof Monday, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever in the world that this video finds you. I have a question for you. Have you ever set a goal for yourself and you're so excited and you're like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to become a social media influencer. I'm going to write a New York Times bestselling novel, whatever it is. And then suddenly things don't quite go as planned and you end up quitting. Well, it happens to a lot of people. And today, the topic in honor of Prime Day, Amazon Prime Day, is prime time. And we are living in a society of instant gratification. You know, we want same day delivery. We're holding our phone there. We do a post and it's like, how many people are liking? How many people are commenting? We're refresh, refresh, refresh. And in fact, last year in 2018, in the United States alone, there was $16.5 billion spent on non-required plastic surgery. I know it's kind of crazy. Well, anyway, my name is Susan Sly. I am a productivity expert. I am a professional speaker. I'm a trainer. And on Mondays, if you're here on Facebook Live, I come to serve all of you and interact. If you are watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes, I welcome you too. And I would say that if this content is helpful, please do share it with anyone that you absolutely care about. It's great to see some of our regulars here. I see Ivy and Bruce. Hey, Revo, it's great to see you here. Hey, Amy Garvax, it's so wonderful to see you too. And I just want to say, I encourage you to grab a pen because take some notes in your phone or whatever you need to do. You can always come back and watch this video. Anyway, let's get right into it. So here we are, and it's Amazon Prime Day, and I have been thinking about this topic for a few days, this whole concept of Prime, right? So last week I ordered just some products from a company, and I think I ordered them on Thursday, and then Friday they weren't there, Saturday they weren't there, and I was actually upset that they weren't there on Saturday. Now, I used to live in Canada. They didn't deliver anything on Saturdays, if you can only imagine. And here I was like, okay, where's my stuff? And it's interesting to me because I remember what it used to take 1 to 2 weeks when you ordered something before you get it, that here I am going, 48 hours, why don't I have my stuff? And it's fascinating, this society that we live in where we want things right away and we just don't want to wait. And that's a problem, especially when it comes to business and it comes to our life. You know, you think about it, that I know probably a lot of you have Apple TV, right? So, you know, as an example, Stranger Things came out, and I think it came out on July 4th, and my kids were like, yeah, let's watch it all in one day. I'm like, no, but that's how we live. We're like, oh yeah, I got episode 1. I'm going to watch episode 2, episode 3. I just want to watch them all. And even major media outlets are going, you know, this whole like, we just deliver the new show once a week. People don't like that. They want to watch things on Hulu or Netflix. They just want it all at one time. And I know for some of you, especially when it comes to business, you're thinking the same thing. You're like, okay, I have this idea. I'm starting to post on social media. Where are all my clients? How come I'm not getting orders? Why isn't this happening faster? So I want to share with you today a few stages of growth of companies. I wanted to share with you some examples of different influencers. And even though people can look like an overnight success, it doesn't mean that they are. So let's talk about Amazon for a moment. So Amazon did in the last quarter of 2017 more in profit than they had in the previous 14 years combined. So I want you to think about that. Like, Amazon started as a bookseller, I believe it was 1995, and now over 51% of American adults with household incomes over $150,000 a year, they have Amazon Prime. And how many of you use Amazon? Like, let's just get honest. How many of you use Amazon in the chat right now? And you're so used to it, right? I was on a plane and I was flying to go to an event, and I saw this guy reading this book, and I was like, is the book good? He goes, yeah, I actually know the author. It's the best book on YouTube I've ever seen. I was like, snap a picture of it, order it on Amazon. Like, I was literally grabbing my case from the overhead compartment and walking out and ordering a book on Amazon on my phone. And that's how fast we expect it. And when you go on Amazon, I remember one time I wanted this keychain, I know, it's weird. But anyway, I was Chinese New Year's. I'm part Chinese, so I'm like, I want this keychain. And I ordered it in the morning and I got it at night. I mean, it's crazy. I was at the National Retail Federation conference in New York. It's called The Big Show in January this year. And I was listening to the CEO of Target, and he was talking about how they're trying to figure out 1 hour delivery within a certain radius of every store. And he said, I want you to imagine you literally order and it's at your door in an hour. So they're asking themselves bigger questions. And I know for many of us, these expectations, we say, yes, you know, I want my stuff from Amazon, Target, Nordstrom, wherever it is you order stuff, you want it right away. And then when it comes to your own business or your own life, losing the 30 pounds, getting lean, saving your marriage, helping your child who's going through a troubled time, sort things out, making money, you're so impatient because you have changed how you expect to experience things and put that on yourself. So I want to give you a few examples. So Kylie Jenner, I was reading about her yesterday and how it's rumored that Coty Cosmetics is going to buy her company, her Kylie Lip Kit company, for I believe it's 1.2 billion. And some of you are like, she's not even 22. I believe she turns 22 on August 10th. But what you might not realize is Kylie Jenner has been in the public eye since 2007. You know, as the little kid, keeping up with the Kardashians, doing, you know, all of this stuff. You saw her on TV, and it doesn't matter how you feel. I think the Kardashians are excellent marketers. I really, you know, from just a marketing study, I mean, seriously. So here's this little kid, grows up on TV, starts on social media, and at 21 years old, her Kylie Cosmetics brand is $1 billion company, and she's been on the cover of Forbes as one of the youngest billionaires. And I was just reading the Forbes, I can't remember, I think it's top 100 women in America, like just by net worth, and she was, you know, right up there in the top 100, even ahead of her sisters. But you think of it, all those years spent on television, spent in the public eye, 14 years. You can't go, oh, she's 21. It's the year she put in before. And one of the things I want to say to all of you today is if you don't earn it, you don't learn it. Did Kylie Jenner make some mistakes very publicly, you know, on social media, very publicly on television? Of course she did, but I'm sure she also hustled to build this company. It just doesn't happen. The other example I want to give you is Lilly Singh. Lilly Singh is a big YouTube influencer. And, you know, for 4 years, she put out 2 custom videos a week, you know, 2 different videos a week for 4 years. No one knew who she was. And last year, she was one of the highest paid women on YouTube. I believe she made $10 million. And so there's a saying, I first heard Natalie Cole say it, you only see the glory, you don't know the story. So we have this instant gratification ideology and this mindset, but what we're forgetting is all the work that was put in beforehand, right? And I want to share a study. So I also mentioned that last year in America, $16.5 billion was spent on elective plastic surgery. Wow. Get this. Of the people who had liposuction, 70% regained the fat. Think about it. So they wanted this instant gratification. It's like, oh, I'm just getting liposuction. So I'm, you know, whatever the decision was, but 70% of them regained it. Why is that? Because they were thinking about this instant gratification, and they weren't thinking that if they didn't change their diet, they didn't change their lifestyle, no amount of surgery was going to fix that. Because the body, as an aside, I used to be a trainer for years and years and years, the body can constantly produce more fat cells, but it cannot take them away. And so they didn't change their habits, they didn't change their mindset, they regained all the fat, they wasted all their money. And that's how it is. Did you know 70%, or it was 65% of liposuction patients, I have the notes here that I prepared for today, saw their fat return. 70% of lottery winners go broke. Because again, it's this instant gratification. So many people will be like, oh, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket, but they're not thinking about how do I maintain that money? How do I invest that money? That's the culture we live in. And it's the same thing. Dating, you meet someone online, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to find the love of my life. And you spend more time thinking about planning your wedding than planning a lifetime together of a marriage. And that's our culture. So I want to talk about delayed gratification, why it's so important and why it works and why it's essential. And I know it's not that exciting. You're like, oh, Susan, delayed gratification. I can't even, watch a Facebook Live for more than 60 seconds before I'm flipping to something else. That's your problem. And one of the things that I know to be true in my heart is every good thing that is going to come to you and stay with you is going to require work. That's the bottom line. So I want to talk about the Stanford Marshmallow experiment. So there is a lot of evidence to support that people who are in the habit of delayed gratification and patience, they actually do better. So I'm going to read this to you. So the Stanford Marshmallow experiment is a 40-year-old experiment. And what they did is they had kids, and what they said to them is, here's a marshmallow, and you can eat it. However, if you wait, then you can have a second marshmallow. And so some of the kids ate the marshmallow, some of the kids waited, but they followed them for 40 years. Listen to this. The children who were willing to delay gratification and waited to receive the second marshmallow ended up having higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, better responses to stress, better social skills as reported by their parents, and generally better scores in a range of other life measures. Isn't that amazing, right? And so thinking about that and thinking about this whole concept of delayed gratification, I want to share with you 7 things you can do right now to improve and get better results and stop sabotaging your success. Before I get into the 7 things, super quick, my signature class, Organize Your Life, where I really help you with all this stuff, it starts on September 10th. Spots are filling up. You can go to susansly.com. We are in early bird pricing right now, so check it out. I have a brand new thing I'm doing, live free mentoring. It is only for subscribers of my list, susansly.com. I actually, I don't know if there are more spots available for this Wednesday is the first time I'm doing it. So you can check it out. It's like a call-in show, except you're going to Zoom in, and I will answer questions about productivity, about marketing. I am a certified coach. It is absolutely free for people who are subscribers on my list. So you can check it out. Go to susansly.com, get on the list. I won't spam you. All right, so let's talk about, here we go, 7 things that are required to embrace delayed gratification and stop sabotaging. Some of you, you're sabotaging yourselves and you're so capable. All right, number 1 is firstly, how long will you commit? So many people think about starting businesses, but they don't think about what their exit plan is. So it's very common in Silicon Valley, especially in the tech world, to say, what's your exit plan? And I was having it was actually a sparkling water date with a friend of mine. Dr. Diane Hamilton, and she's an amazing woman. She just wrote a book called The Curiosity Code. She has a PhD. She used to run Forbes University for Steve Forbes. So we're getting together last week, and she said, Susan, what's the exit plan? What's the exit plan for your AI company? What is that exit plan? And so being very clear, are you building something you can sell? Are you building something that you're going to take public? Are you building something that is going to be a legacy for your children? Are you going to do an ESOP, that's an employee share owner plan, where you actually sell a percentage of your company to your employees? And that's a great thing. And you can't do that everywhere, but in America you can. So what is the exit plan? And how long are you willing to commit until you get to where you're going to be? And so, many of you know that I have achieved in different types of businesses. And one of those industries is actually the industry of direct sales. And I have built a team that has produced well over $1 billion in retail sales, which is absolutely awesome. And, when I first got started in that business, I gave myself 7 years. 7 years. And why 7 years? Because it takes at least 7 years to become a professional at anything. And I'm not talking about a dabbler. I wouldn't want a surgeon to operate on my body who hadn't gone to medical school. So, by the time the surgeon does the undergrad degree and then goes to med school and then becomes a surgeon, it's a lot more than 7 years. But to be, say, a CPA or even an attorney, we're talking at least 7 years to become a professional in anything. So I gave myself 7 years to read the books, to get gritty, to have my heart broken, to, attend seminars, to be trained by people who were doing it well. And then eventually I became successful. And eventually I was the one doing the training because I had lived through all of that. So the question I have for you right now, whether it's transforming your body, fixing your marriage, helping a child that is in your life get through a troubling time, helping yourself heal from something. I just had something happen in my personal life, and I've given myself 6 months to heal from that, just to heal from the trauma, right? And so often we're like, oh, we just want to fix it. Okay, there's no pill, there is no alcohol, there is no anything that is going to help you truly deal with that pain other than self-actualizing and healing and doing all of that stuff. It's the same thing in business. How long are you going to give yourself? Because that is one of the most important questions. How long are you willing to commit? And you have a date and you're very focused, you know your date. And when people are like, well, how long are you going to do that thing? Well, you can say, I've given myself 7 years to be successful. Next, what's your next question? How long are you willing to commit? All right. Hey, Sophie, it's great to see you. Number 2, what new habits are you going to have to develop to achieve what you want to achieve? Okay, so it's interesting about habits. Some people say it takes 21 days to build a habit. I totally disagree. It takes as long as it takes. I know people who were sober for 4 years and then started drinking again. I know people who lost weight, kept it off, and then, for a couple of years and they regained it again. A habit takes as long as it takes. Some people, it's like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to gossip anymore. I am not going to, self-sabotage anymore. I'm not going to stuff my emotions with ice cream anymore, whatever it is. And they just stop. Those people are unicorns. The average person, it really is one day at a time. It takes as long as it takes. But to achieve anything, it's ultimately going to come down to habits, and habits don't get developed overnight. So right now, my husband, he's a CPA, so he's a Canadian CPA, but he's doing his US CPA reciprocity. And so it's fun because, potentially I'm going back to school, the kids go back to school soon, and here's my husband going back to school, so we're all in school. And, and I am taking online courses right now. I'm taking a calculus course. That's fun. Anyway, so one of the big things is my husband had to look at the course requirements and develop some new habits. And he knows he has to study, in and around the area of around 15 hours a week. So he's getting up earlier, he's going to bed earlier, he's marked out his study time, it's non-negotiable, we're having discussions. Okay, when can I, be the only game in town with the kids so he can have his time to study? All of this stuff. New habits in order to achieve something he hasn't achieved. What new habits do you have to develop? And maybe it's 3 sales calls a day. Maybe it's 3 follow-ups a day. Maybe it's getting up early. Maybe it's going to bed early. Maybe it's drinking a gallon of water. Maybe it's going to the gym 5 times a week. I don't know, but here's the thing I do know. You're a really smart person, and in your heart, you know what those habits are. Okay, you do. Number 3 is slightly different. Who do you have to become in order to achieve what you want to achieve? Who do you have to become? And that is an interesting question because, in my life right now, I'm going through an incredible sort of next iteration of Susan. And it's, coming back full circle. My love of technology. I was coding when I was in high school and really embracing that side of myself. And, who do I have to become in order to achieve what I want to achieve? And it's embracing, Susan who loves technology, Susan who, loves to think about algorithms and programming and possibility, Susan who loves serving others and contributing to others and maybe doing it in a different way than I've done it before. You know, there's no time in my life anymore for one-on-one stuff. It's all got to be, you know, one to many, and really thinking deeply. That's why I'm doing this monthly call-in, because I want to serve more people, but there's only so much time that I have. So who do I have to become? Definitely more efficient, definitely more clear. And that's the same thing for all of us. Who do you need to become? Some of you are in a business where you're representing a product or service, but that product or service isn't representative in you. So I want you to think about that, because, you know, you can't be representing a health product if you're not healthy. Okay, you can't be representing I see this all the time, people who are influencers who make more money training about theory than they actually have doing what they say they've done, right? And that's, you know, again, who do you need to become in order to achieve what you need to achieve? It's the question I have for you, right? I know there's, you know, a goal in my life that I have right now. And that's why I applied to go back to school. And we'll see. You know, I flew to Boston last week for the interview. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. You'll be first to know. But, you know, that's part of who I need to become in order to achieve what I need to achieve, right? Okay. Number 4 is celebrate all progress with a smile. Celebrate all progress with a smile. And some of you, this whole concept of delayed gratification is like, I'm only going to celebrate the big wins when I have a $10,000 month or I lose 30 pounds. Or no. You got to celebrate all progress with a smile. So Saturday, I'm in Sprouts, and you know, it was so funny because when I you know, get that sense that I'm supposed to do something, I really do it. So I'm driving along, and it's like, okay, I need to go to Sprouts, and I'm like thinking, okay, what do I really need to get at Sprouts? And I was doing a girls' movie night with my daughters, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll get some tortilla chips, whatever. But okay, so I go to Sprouts, and there are 2 cashiers working, and the lines are both long, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to this one. This is where I'm drawn to go. So I put all my stuff on, and, you know, I'm always very friendly. And I say to the guy, how are you doing? The cashier. And he said, this is the best day of my life. Just like that. And I'm like, my goodness, did something happen? He said, no. He said, I am grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I said to him, I'm fascinated. Was there something that happened in your life? Now, meanwhile, there's a big long line behind me, right? I said, was there something in your life that happened for you to shift into this feeling? And he said, actually, I was an artist. I flew all over the world in private jets. My clients would pay me for my art to do installations, all sorts of things. But I was really foolish with my money. And one day I broke my back and I couldn't paint anymore. I couldn't work anymore. I lost everything. And he said, it was interesting because people who always asked me for things when I needed their help, they weren't there. But I'm not mad at them. I'm actually really grateful because I'm starting all over again. And I get to do whatever I want to do from this place. And I came home and I was like in the kitchen. I said to my kids and Chris, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have met the most fascinating person. And one of the things I'm going to work on is going back, finding out when he's there and doing an interview with him. This guy is remarkable. His name's Robert. And you know, it was such a catalyst for today's show because I was thinking, you know, how often are we going through life and it's like, how are you doing? I'm okay. I'm not bad. You know, so since Saturday, not very long, the thing that's going on in my house is everyone's saying, you know, how are you? This is the best day of my life. And I'll tell you something, the last 3 days have been amazing in my life. Like things are just happening. People are showing up. Opportunity is showing up. And I don't think that anything's different. It's just that I'm choosing it. And I woke up this morning, I was like, this is the best day of my life. And some of you may be like, well, Susan, you don't know what's going on in my life. And I could say, friends, I don't share with you everything that's going on in my life. We've all got our stuff. We can't change a lot of things, but one thing we can change is our attitude about all of it, right? All right. Number 5 is learn from your challenges. So when I was going to interview at MIT last week, I was preparing and preparing. I didn't bring them in. I was going to show you guys the interview questions. So anyway, I go Actually, I have them. I won't show them to you right now. So I go online and I'm looking at all the interview questions that they can ask, and there are 5 interview question sets, and I'm sweating it, I have to tell you. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to prepare and prepare and prepare, and I'm just going to be honest, and at the risk of my honesty not getting me in, that's okay. I'm not going to worry about what they want to hear. I'm just going to be truthful. So at MIT, they believe in something called BEI, a behavioral experience interview. And so what it really means is that past behavior is an excellent predictor of future outcome. And so a lot of the questions centered around, tell me about a time. Tell me about a time when you received negative feedback and how did you handle it? Tell me about a time when there was conflict in your work environment and what did you do? And it was interesting because as I was preparing for those questions and doing a lot of journaling on it and that kind of thing, it was fascinating. Again, I love that word. Tony Robbins, I love that word. It was fascinating to me because I realized that what they were looking at is, how do I handle challenges? How do I handle challenges? And that's the question I have for you, for all of you. How do you handle challenges? Are you the person who cowers in the corner, or are you the person who figures it out, figures out how to deal with it, how to not get too emotional about it, how to use that challenge, learn from the challenge, and then move on, right? That's the thing. And so one thing I will say to you is, we all have challenges. It's what we do with the challenges. Because any of the people I mentioned, Lily Singh, Kylie Jenner, Jeff Bezos at Amazon, everyone's had challenges. Is what they choose to do with them. And number 6 is my favorite. Don't listen to the doubters. You are going to have doubters. Deborah, Sandra, Barbara, Sue, Ivy, Bruce, you're going to have doubters. Okay. And you may even live with some of them. It happens. When I first started my direct sales business in 2003, my husband's parents did an intervention, and they literally said, you went to university, Chris went to university. Are you guys crazy? Are you crazy? And you know what? It fueled my fire. I was like, I'm going to be successful in spite of. And over the years, I've had lots of doubters. And this is a show about transparency. I've been told I'm too dark, I'm too light, I'm too fat, I'm too short. I used to model. It was like, you're too short, you're too fat. You're not smart enough. You didn't get good enough grades. Like, I have had every excuse thrown at me to not be successful. A choice we all have is who we listen to. And if you're allowing doubters to influence you, that's not on them, that's on you. I can list example after example after example of people who've won Olympic medals, who've won Academy Awards, who become millionaires, who become multimillionaires, who become billionaires, who were told they weren't going to achieve success. And, of the self-made millionaires out there in the world, many of them had filed bankruptcy before in business. It wasn't their first time. I have a friend who's working on a startup, and he's had 2 little teeny successes in startups, and people are like, why are you doing another startup? And lots of criticism. It's going to happen. When you are making bold decisions in your life, you're going to receive bold criticism. It's your choice. Put your armor on. You're better than that. And that whole thing with delayed gratification, you're going to have to push the doubters to the side and focus forward on what it is you want. The last thing, number 7, is surround yourself with people who are successful, who believe in you, who are success-minded. And you may say, Susan, no one in my life believes in me. That's okay. That's why you listen to the podcast. That's why you get on the videos. That's why you do all those things. You borrow from other people's belief. I wouldn't show up on Mondays and do the show if I didn't believe in you, because I'd be like, oh, there's lots of other things I could do right now. But I do it because it's my way of serving and helping you succeed. And a lot of you, I don't even know. This show gets thousands of views a week. Even if I don't boost it, I don't know you, but I believe in you. And I believe you're here for a reason. all of the things I've achieved in my life, I surrounded myself by people who were smarter than me, who were more successful than me. One of my big mentors in my life is Harvey McKay. Harvey's written 7 New York Times bestsellers. When I make big decisions in my life, I call him up. I say, should I do this? He's brilliant. He's in his 80s. He is the most widely read columnist in all of America. He's built a massive company, McKay Mitchell Envelopes. He travels all over the world. He commands a premium speaking fee. And, you know, he's just one of several people that I respect and admire and I trust to tell me the truth. And it's the same thing for you. Go out there and cultivate. You don't want people who are just going to be like, oh, you're so amazing, because there are lots of people like that, but they're not always telling you the truth. You want people who are going to give you honest feedback, who are going to give you guidance, who are going to help you succeed. That's who you want in your life. And I promise you, my friends, in this on Amazon Prime Day, when we expect things so instantly, if you can embrace these 7 things and you can allow yourself the delayed gratification, just like the kids in the Marshmallow experiment, I promise you, if you get into practice, and it doesn't mean you're less ambitious, it doesn't mean you don't go for it, it just means you're more patient, I can promise you, you're going to get better results in every single area of your life. With that, again, my name is Susan Sly. If this video has been helpful, please share, comment. I do read all your comments. If you're listening on iTunes, share this. Give us a 5-star rating. I would absolutely, absolutely love that. And just remember that if you have an idea for a show, you can always go to susansly.com. Just quickly, you know, it has to be really one line. Send over your ideas. I will entertain them. So with that, God bless. Go rock your day. And I will see you next Monday.